Sebenarnya konservasi burung hantu di sini latar belakangnya jelas asas manfaat. Jadi kita pengen melestarikan burung, melestarikan satwa, tapi juga otomatis dampaknya ke masyarakat yang khususnya sekarang kalau di sini kan petani.
All right, guys, let's get into our first update for today.
Meanwhile, a plume of smoke was seen billowing in the distance from Rafah in the Gaza Strip on Saturday, marking the 11th week of humanitarian crisis in Palestine.
Mount Anak Krakatau continues to erupt, spewing volcanic materials up to 300 meters high.
Sri Mulyani Indrawati said that Indonesia has minimized taking that to meet the needs of the 2023 state budget until the end of the year.
Another episode of Buddy Talk.
Enggak, dia hostnya, kita co-hostnya.
It's better to be overdressed than underdressed. That's actually a good hack, because I used to live in Canada. That was our trick.
Point to Manado on this map. I'm horrible. I told you I'm bad.
Dikira dengan banyaknya informasi itu kan jadi makin gampang gitu nulis.
Iya.
Tapi ternyata susah banget.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. You're still with us here on the C Morning Show. It's 7:15 in the a.m. and just in time for our first discussion of the morning. And we mentioned at the top of the program the topic of our discussion, and it is about children. Now, children are not born with insecurity or a lack of confidence. However, despite this, some may struggle with rejection or criticism or even hurtful words. And over time, they may even develop low self-esteem and lack of confidence, which then will in turn cause insecurities.
Yes, so ideally parents must always be there for their children, you know, to basically to lift them up, making them feel wanted and loved. And kids nowadays, for some, they think that kids require special attention because of the increased risk of mental health challenges.
Scary stuff. Now,
Yes.
to find out more about how we as parents can handle and help our children with insecurities, joining us, we have Personal Growth Director and Senior Clinical Psychologist, and of course, friend of the program, Barati Ibrahim, here in the studio. Good morning, Barati.
Hello, good morning.
Always happy to have you.
Good morning, Barati.
After a while.
After a
and
while.
this is a New Year, still in the New Year's event with the new spirit,
Happy New Year to you.
new
Bar.
colors.
New colors as well.
I love the colors, by the way.
I know. It's so color coordinated. I mean, it's so cheerful. So let's talk about child insecurity, Mbak Rati. What is child insecurity? What kind of forms of insecurity do children experience?
Well, actually, the title of child insecurity has to be a reminder for us because it's something that have to be our consideration. Why? Because as said, children born with full existence, they don't born with insecurity. So probably, and most of the cause is us as parents that we are not present for them, being there for them 100%. So that's the main cause why children and then grow their insecurity.
100% nurture then, not nature. Like nobody, no kid is
Well,
born with insecurity.
When they're still in the, when the mom carrying them, of course the experience, the feeling, the emotion, probably the anxiety or stress and everything that experienced by the mom will involve the baby.
Heard of this?
Yeah? So, is it nurture or nature? It's both.
Yes.
Yeah? And the baby will absorb the condition of the mother. The anxious mom will also deliver anxious baby. The good news is that babies, children are very forgiveful. But the seed of anxiety is already planted in them. That it make them easily triggered for some stimulus or event in their life to trigger that anxiety growing bigger because they are becoming more sensitive. So, answering your question, so where it come from? I still say that it's from the parents and mom. Why she grew that anxiety? Her experience probably lack of support from the husband and family support. So it's always has that connection for each other, from each other. And also when they grow bigger, how we accept them, how we love them, how we nurture them, how we give example, how we as parents, we already have that discussion before.
How should we love them then? Because there are many forms of love, right? Depending on the parent. Sometimes some parents say, oh, you know, it's tough love. Tough love works for some. But, you know, some others like, no, tough love doesn't work for me. And then they may face like kids that are not resilient. You know, it's like, how should we love them?
Well, this old woman will say that it's all the combination of all.
Okay.
And it doesn't take just one parent, it should take two.
Yeah.
And also the whole family. Well, a wise saying from old African proverb said that it takes a village to raise a children.
It does.
To raise a child. So it takes a village. The husband and the wife, mom and dad, and also the whole family, including the whole community, including the whole nation, should provide that. So when you ask about what kind of love,
Yes.
we always said that parenting is an art.
It is.
So it's combined about everything.
Like their experiences at school, how their teachers treat them.
Yeah.
The way we talk to them.
Yes.
Sometimes we give them tough love. Sometimes we have to be more strict because we have to put a discipline. They need to be disciplined. Sometimes, we challenge them.
Yes.
Give them stress.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
but because we love them, we will measure that.
Yeah.
Yes, and we always be there for them to be their home.
To be able to measure whether today is tough love, tomorrow is loving love or caring love. This is only my assumption. Correct me if I'm wrong. It really depends on how close you are with the
Definitely. That's why you have to be there.
child. Okay.
You have to be there 100%. How about us? Because we are working, and it's okay. Yeah, even though we're working, we still 100% for them. So we work because we love them. We want to provide good life, but we are still available. Like me, I'm always available when my family call me. Yeah.
You have to be there no matter what, whether it's, I mean, I'll give an example.
Yeah.
The one that doles out the tough love in my household is my wife. Sorry to call you out. But it's been decided upon between us. She said, you're not here as much. You're at work. So don't come home and then be tough on the kids.
Right.
They need you to be the gentler one.
Yeah.
Let me be the tough one because I'm here anyway and they can take it from me because I'm around all the time anyway. And it's actually worked out for the past couple
But
of
it
years.
should, your wife should be a happy person.
Yes.
To be able to give tough love.
Correct.
Because a hurt person, sad or with anger issue, the tough love will be
It's not for the benefit
horrifying.
of the child. It's actually venting, right?
Yes.
Now, I can also add a little bit to your previous point because our firstborn, perfectly fine during the pregnancy. She's very confident. The second child that we had, my wife had a medical issue. It was a gestational diabetes. She was stressed out. She was constantly checking her glucose and on a daily basis. And then his development was not the same as our first child, and he was easily triggered. But it is reversible. We decided that we would get him extra help, we would give him extra care, and we would make that extra effort to make a connection with him, where the connection came much easier with the first child. So I would say that it's not irreversible, especially when they're a younger age, through our own experience. But insecurities have always been around. I mean, I've gone through insecurities when I was a young child. I don't know what triggered it, but I found my own ways to deal with it. But is it getting worse? We had a discussion you mentioned prior to coming on air, and you said there are more reasons why kids are insecure these days. Could you explain some of these reasons why this is?
Well, I already explained about the parents being present to the kids and being their home.
Yes,
Yeah.
being their home. Very
Home means the place that you can feel safe.
Yes.
You can learn and you are not afraid to make mistake
Yes.
because and you also learn not to take for granted.
Yes.
Yeah, and you learn from your parents. This is what's parenting and loving and all the conversation that we have this morning. But insecurity, what it is? Well, regarding to their development, they also grew awareness and sensitivity about what's going on. And I believe that they also has the intuition to and intelligentsia to understand, to identify something that probably not safe for them.
Okay.
So that's also something that actually important.
Give us an example, Mbak Rati.
For a danger, for example, like has to be accepted by people. So they observe you, they observe the other people. So probably during the big family gathering, so they will notice if this auntie seems don't like me. So it's also trigger something.
Yeah.
Is it bad or good? Well, I will just keep it natural. Natural. And when your kid comes to you, you know that it's okay, but you have me. And it will help them to overcome that insecurity. But when the support system, especially the parents, not there for their children, not being home for them, the insecurity will grow worse and worse, and it become insecurity disorder. They will grow with many issues, mental health issues, because it's important. When they were born, the first thing that they learn is to build trust.
Correct.
Trust.
Yeah.
When the trust is not built because the parent is not loving them, is not accept them, is not want them, is not love them, so the mistrust will develop. It will be the big seed of insecurity that we being brought until they are growing up.
My
That's
wife
correct.
uses the word safe space a lot.
Safe space.
Always give them a safe space all the time.
Absolutely.
It's like you say home, we use like safe space. Like give them a place where they can feel comfortable, where they can come when they feel scared or insecure.
Yeah, Marisa, when you said, so when do we have to put that tough love and sweet love? Well, I will say like, why don't we combine that all?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is an explanation. I have to do this to you because I love you.
Oh,
And this is-
adorable. Yeah.
And this is because I know you need to build this behavior for the sake of your goodness.
Yeah.
And
So explanation is very important,
Yes.
so that the child doesn't go wondering and catastrophizing in their
why
head.
you at the sudden
Yeah.
gaslight me or give me that silent treatment for 2 months?
Yeah, that's
It's
just
torturing our children.
It is.
Yeah.
It
And
is.
reconciliation. So after some conflict,
Yeah.
please invest time to reconcile.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what is the golden age, do you think, that we have to pay attention to, Mbak Rati, especially in terms of trying to grow or help nurture secure children? What's the golden age that we really
We
have
believe
to pay
that the
attention?
golden age is since our child was born
Yeah, from baby.
until 5 years old.
5 years.
But regarding to me, I'm a mom of 2 adults
Right.
now. So the golden age, I will say it forever.
Yeah. It's an ongoing
As a
process.
mom, yeah. So since I realized that I have my child in my womb,
Yes.
if I can go back to that time,
Yeah.
I will focus more, even though I work, even though I work, and then I do many things, I'm still a very productive person until today.
Yes. I think you will forever be productive helping people.
But I know I should be more focused on the baby. It's an investment. Take that as an investment, not a job. It is an investment.
Yes.
For his future, my future, our future together. So during the prenatal period, and then when he was born, because he was born because me and my husband want him to be there.
Yes, yes. It's a conscious
thank
decision.
You, God. Yes.
Yeah.
And during the baby period, the toddlers,
yes.
the very not easy period because they tend to say no for everything. Are you hungry? No. Are you sad? No. Are you happy? No. But you eat? No.
I have two girls. I don't mind them saying no for the future.
Yeah.
Such a protective daddy.
But even though our kids say no, we know their needs.
Yes.
So we still do the business as usual. And puberty
Oh my
also has another challenge.
Their own challenges.
Yeah, because they will, we give them very good education. We invest a lot by choosing the best school for them.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the kids, our kids, will build that critical thinking. And the first object, the first subject for their critical thinking is us, the parents.
That's true.
So we'll say like, Mom, you did this, you said that, but you do that.
We have to be an example to our children.
They don't forget.
So they don't forget. And you know what you just said, it makes me think about conscious parenting. Because you said when you decided to have a baby, it's a conscious decision between you and your husband, right? So how do we become, because it's never too late, right? Especially when our children are still small or even when they're teens. It's never too late to be a more conscious parent or conscious parents. So how do we train ourselves to become more conscious as parents?
It is a long journey of learning to become one. So we can start from now after seeing this show that ask yourself and then tell yourself to be a more realistic individual, realistic with all the condition that you have, so you don't daydreaming wanting something that it's not yours, it's not belong to you.
For example, give us
For example, I wish that my husband is not my husband today. I want someone else. You're not being realistic. Yeah. I wish that I can be this, which actually you are not that person. So number 2 is accept, because acceptance is the key to be accept your kids also, and then understand everything.
Right.
I think it's being a humble person is the thing that you can always learning, and also faith. So it takes a long life journey of learning. So keep learning.
And I can also add that don't be afraid to make mistakes and don't dwell on it. Like, because I always think about, I could have done this so much better. I wish I had done this differently. My wife, once again, is always telling me, forget it, let it go. That's already in the past. You can still fix yourself going forward, because kids are very, they're very forgiving.
And then fix it. How to fix? Then reconciliate, explain, but don't dramatize everything, right?
We are very dramatic as adults. We are running out of time, but real quick, I do want to touch on one point that you mentioned that I find very interesting. Is that
about
the elephant in the room. How much does this affect kids' insecurities, these things?
Oh, the gadgets.
Yes.
Social media.
All of these things, they affect us as adults, so they must.
Especially the kids, because they are very fragile and they are still learning. They are like young petals that needs to be nourished with real things. So, do we need this? Yes. Our kid need this? Not yet. That's why we still has to do the parenting, navigating, parenting control, guidance, and etc. So don't use this especially to the younger kids as pacifier.
Yeah,
Okay.
younger, which mean what
Because
age?
I can see nowadays, like babies is already like
Yeah.
glued.
Yeah.
to
While
the
they're being
food.
fed.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like watching.
I see it at
Yeah.
restaurants. I see it
Oh
everywhere.
yeah. Oh yeah.
So the connection is gone.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're not connected to what real things is, how the food tastes, how
Our
you-
expressions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So you just put diet on this. The
Yeah,
less,
yeah.
the better.
I like that diet.
Yeah, what is so teenager would be the suitable age to give them gadgets?
I mean, you can
Well-
still be insecure,
Yeah.
but then they at least have this
Actually,
capacity.
you minimize that. And everything
okay.
because you are a reliable parents. And you are
Reliable
their
parents.
home, their home. So they're not afraid of you. They respect you. Yeah. And it's not an easy way.
No,
And
I
easy
am
things,
sure.
yeah.
I'm sure.
So every time that they find something here, they can discuss to you.
Ah.
Yeah, and you can neutralize
connected.
that.
You
Yeah,
stay
stay
connected.
connected.
That's right.
And to my kids, actually, well, I give example how I deal with this with my kids is, your mom has that right because I'm your mom. So until you're, well, I use 21, but actually 21 is too old. Until you're 21, I have the right to interfere. Everything, because I'm your mom and I want you to be safe. But I need my privacy.
Privacy, Mama.
It's my privacy. And I said, okay, but make sure that you prove me that you can take the responsibility.
Correct.
So the more I can see you responsible with your life,
more I can
I will not take control of you. But if you mess up, your mom will come to rescue you.
That's our
And
job.
please, parents, be chill. When you find something on your child gadget, don't panic.
Yeah.
If you panic, you call me. Be chill, yeah, and then please be memikirkan lebih dalam.
Yeah.
Okay, think about it. Do not react.
Yes, definitely.
That's why
Let it sit first.
So my wife checks my daughter's gadgets, not me. Like, who is this guy?
Oh no.
Because when my kids about
15, 14?
no, 9, and I found who is the girl play Transformer?
Oh,
The sexy one.
Yeah, Megan Fox.
Megan
Yes,
Fox.
and I saw Megan Fox picture there, and I said,
panicked.
"What?" And he was like shocked and with keringat,
Yeah.
keringatnya gede-gede.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm trying to
Calm yourself
pull myself down, and I said, "You like this kind of girl?" Yes, Mama. Do you think that one day, if you have a wife, will look like her? Yes, Mama. Okay.
She's panicking
Make
inside.
sure that she has brain and attitude.
Oh, nice. And that concludes our conversation for today.
Well said, Bharati. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you.
All right, now we're going to take a short break here on the program. We still have plenty more to come here on the C Morning Show, including some updates from around the world in case you joined us late. Stay tuned.
Oh, I love it. Brain and attitude.
Berangkat aja dulu, kerjakan apa yang ada di depan kalian. Setidaknya kalian hari ini walaupun tidak mendapatkan uang, tapi kalian mendapatkan kesempatan.
Walaupun di awal-awal itu banyak sekali rintangan dan tantangan.
Kalian berproses aja dulu, jalan aja dulu. Kalau udah waktunya kalian untuk dapetin uang akan datang nyamperin kalian. Hal yang paling sangat utama untuk mengawali bisnis, ridho dan restu orang tua. Itu hal dan modal paling besar dalam mengawali usaha.
Ke Binjai mau migrasi. Anjay, aku depot sih.
Ya aku cuma mau bilang hari ini kamu tuh cantik ya.
Aduh ya Allah. Oke lah kalau penampilan dia nggak sebaik itu, nggak sebagus itu, nggak seganteng itu, tapi itu hatinya dia sebaik itu dan tidak ada orang yang pernah gue temuin hatinya sebaik Mas.
Pemain.
Group of volunteers operating in south of the city has united to assist displaced children in a refugee camp in Rafah in overcoming the trauma of war. The volunteers come from diverse professional backgrounds and share expertise in working with young people.
Asian flavors is gaining more popularity around the world in the last decade. Personally love this, not just because it is familiar for our palate, but because the airiness, the textures of the youtiao, it's completely different when baguette. So with those appetites and with those pleasure-driven people, Menteng is a very special place for restaurant.
Oh, I love this atmosphere. Woo! Heading to Gili Trawangan. And this special episode, I already prepared myself for an adventure on the island, which in the top of the list to visit. And this is the travel note because life is dope.
Hey there, buddies! Welcome back to another episode of Buddy Talk.
Enggak, dia hostnya, kita co-hostnya.
It's better to be overdressed than underdressed. That's actually a good hack, because I used to live in Canada. That was our trick.
Point to Manado on this map. I'm horrible. I told you I'm bad.
Dikira dengan banyaknya informasi itu kan jadi makin gampang gitu nulisnya.
Iya.
Tapi tetap susah banget.
Their existence is now being critically endangered.
Dia memiliki ekor yang sangat panjang, jauh lebih panjang daripada badannya sendiri.
Tekniknya dia keluar itu bergelombol, menggunakan punggung temannya untuk naik.
Sebenarnya konservasi burung hantu di sini latar belakangnya jelas asas manfaat. Jadi kita pengen melestarikan burung, melestarikan satwa, tapi juga otomatis dampaknya ke masyarakat yang khususnya sekarang kalau di sini kan petani.
Welcome back to Spotlight, ladies and gentlemen, where we bring you guys some of the sports that you guys can go play here in Indonesia.
You don't have to be good with your foot. Like, you can just dribble the ball and just throw it to the full ball.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, I love this atmosphere. Woo! Heading to Gili Trawangan. And this special episode, I already prepared myself for an adventure on the island, which in the top of the list to visit. And this is the travel note because life is dope. Oh, I love this atmosphere. Woo! Heading to Gili Trawangan. And this special episode, I already prepared myself for an adventure on the island, which in the top of the list to visit. And this is the travel note because life is dope.
Their existence is now being critically endangered.
Dia memiliki ekor yang sangat panjang, jauh lebih panjang daripada badannya sendiri.
Tekniknya dia keluar itu bergelombol, menggunakan punggung temannya untuk naik.
Sebenarnya konservasi burung hantu di sini latar belakangnya jelas asas manfaat. Jadi kita pengen melestarikan burung, melestarikan satwa, tapi juga otomatis dampaknya ke masyarakat yang khususnya sekarang kalau di sini kan petani.
All right, guys, let's get into our first update for today.
Meanwhile, a plume of smoke was seen billowing in the distance from Rafah in the Gaza Strip on Saturday, marking the 11th week of humanitarian crisis in Palestine.
Mount Anak Krakatau continues to erupt, spewing volcanic materials up to 300 meters high.
Sri Mulyani Indrawati said that Indonesia has minimized taking that to meet the needs of the 2023 state budget until the end of the year.
Hey there, buddies! Welcome back to another episode of Buddy Talk.
Enggak, dia hostnya, kita co-hostnya.
It's better to be overdressed than underdressed. That's actually a good hack, because I used to live in Canada. That was our trick.
Point to Manado on this map. I'm horrible. I told you I'm bad.
Dikira dengan banyaknya informasi itu kan jadi makin gampang gitu nulisnya.
Iya.
Tapi tetap susah banget.
Welcome back to the C Morning Show, everyone. It is time for some world news updates. Former U.S. President Donald Trump scored a decisive victory in the Iowa caucuses on Monday, with his rivals languishing far behind in a victory that sent a resounding message that the GOP's 2024 presidential nomination is his to lose.
It was not immediately clear who would emerge as the second-place finisher in the opening contest of the Republican nomination fight. Either Florida Governor Ron DeSantis or former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley.
In what was expected to be a low turnout affair, caucus voters endured life-threatening cold and dangerous driving conditions to meet in hundreds of schools, churches, and community centers across the state.
Well, I want to thank everybody. This has been some period of time, and most importantly, we want to thank the great people of Iowa. Thank you. We love you all.
God is so good. I've spoken a lot of hard truths to America, and here's another one.
I want to thank everybody. This has been some period of time, and most importantly, we want to thank the great people of Iowa. Thank you. We love you all. What a turnout, what a crowd. And I really think this is time now for everybody, our country, to come together.
Meanwhile, Iowa Republicans gathered at caucus meetings across the state to choose their next GOP presidential nominee. According to the National Weather Service, the coldest first in the nation Iowa caucuses on record kicked off on Monday night at -3 degrees Fahrenheit in the capital city of Des Moines, with the wind chill making it feel more like -20.
As the ballots were still being counted, Trump was declared the winner of the Iowa caucuses on Monday, seizing a crucial victory that reinforces the former president's grip on his party. Governor Ron DeSantis and former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley were in close race for second place.
Former President Donald Trump is the resounding winner of the 2024 Iowa caucus as he finished with more than 50% of the overall vote.
Dangerously cold weather that descended on Iowa ahead of the caucus impacted the turnout, with overall participation suffering a downturn this year following records high in 2016. And to know more, let's have a look at the following report from VOA's Kane Farable.
Extreme freezing temperatures didn't deter Sarka Moore from attending one of former President Donald Trump's final 2024 Iowa caucus campaign events. It also didn't dampen her plans to show up in person to support him on caucus night.
I'm excited, very excited. It's my first time.
Moore, an immigrant from the Czech Republic, spent time researching the caucus process as a first-time participant, motivated to support Trump.
I love his policy. Everything was great under Trump's administrations. No wars. Economy was great. And there wasn't like open border.
We want to thank the great people of Iowa. Thank you. We love you all.
Trump's campaign resonated with Iowans, who braved the cold and ice across the state to deliver him a win with one of the largest margins of any Republican candidate in the contest's history.
You know, I would say this is a pretty good turnout.
Jan Good cast her vote at a caucus site inside a high school gymnasium in the Des Moines suburb of Ankeny.
And I think the people that were absolutely determined were going to be here. I do know of some folks that were older and they chose not to get out. It was slippery coming in.
Good's vote went for Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who won the overall count at her specific caucus site.
DeSantis, 63.
We're caucusing for what we believe in, and I think that DeSantis is what I believe in, and I still appreciate Trump. I appreciate what he did. I appreciate how he got it done. I appreciate who he was at the time. Unfortunately, rightly or wrongly, chaos follows him.
DeSantis edged former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley to take second place in Iowa. Businessman Vivek Ramaswamy, who finished fourth, bowed out of the race and endorsed Trump. Among those who finished at the bottom of the results is former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson, who didn't hold back his criticism of Trump on the campaign trail.
People don't like hard truth. And if they have an opinion on something and someone speaks against that opinion, they don't think as much of you. And so your negatives go up a little bit, but I also have confidence that I've spoken in the right way. I've spoken as a gentleman. I've spoken what I believe. And that, in the end, is what is important.
Both Democrats and Republicans typically participate in the Iowa caucuses, but this year Democrats turned to mail-in ballots for their presidential preference, with incumbent President Joe Biden expected to win that final tally. Democrats are focusing on the South Carolina primary in February as their first major election event, amid criticism that Iowa and New Hampshire aren't diverse or big enough to play a prominent role early in the nomination process, something Iowa's former Republican governor, Terry Branstad, disagrees with.
The system that we have, the Iowa caucuses followed by the New Hampshire primary, means that real people in the caucus state of Iowa, in the primary state of New Hampshire, have an important say in choosing who the leader of this country is going to be.
The campaign for the Republican nomination now shifts to New Hampshire, a state which looks to have better weather and perhaps turnout than Iowa, as it hosts the first in the nation primary election, January 23rd. Kane Fairbaugh, VOA News, Des Moines, Iowa.
Kenya has embarked on its biggest rhino relocation project on Tuesday by tracking, darting, and transporting 21 of the critically endangered animals hundreds of miles to a new home.
Prior attempts to move the rhinos ended in disaster, as all 11 of the animals that were relocated have died.
Several issues also plagued the early days of the current project as a rhino resisted tranquilizer shots from a wildlife ranger helicopter on Tuesday.
Kenya's wildlife agency is relocating 21 rare and endangered black rhinos from their sanctuaries after their population rapidly increased, leading to overcrowding. Wildlife officials said the project will be difficult and time-consuming. Both male and female black rhinos are being transported from 3 conservation parks to the private Loisaba Conservancy in central Kenya.
The existing sanctuaries have become overcrowded. And that's another challenge. So we've become a victim of our own success, where you'll have territorial fightings and male rhinos killing each other, and also a drop in the breeding rates. So you'll end up with static populations.
The relocation shows Kenya's relative success in reviving its black rhino population, which sank under 300 in the mid-1980s due to poaching. It briefly raised concerns that the animals might be wiped out forever from the country, which is famed for its rich wildlife diversity. According to the Wildlife Department, nearly 1,000 black rhinos call Kenya home. The country now boasts the 3rd biggest black rhino population in the world, behind South Africa and Namibia. According to rhino conservation charities Save the Rhino, only 6,487 wild rhinos are left in the world, and all of them are in Africa.
The black rhino were reduced to a number of about 292 individuals in the 70s and up to in the early 80s. That's the number that there was. They've been decimated by poaching, come down from a number of 20,000 estimated. So what's happened since then is because of really dedicated work and government policy and KWS engagement and some engagement from the private sector and communities, we've seen those numbers grow to just over 1,000 today.
Kenyan authorities said that they have relocated more than 150 rhinos in the past decade. Some of the rhinos, which can weigh over a ton each, are being transferred from the Nairobi National Park and will make a 300-kilometer trip in the back of a truck to Loisaba. Meanwhile, others will come from parks closer to Loisaba. Kenyan wildlife authorities added that the country is aiming to grow its black rhino population to about 2,000 individual animals. This goal was set as they believe that 2,000 would be the ideal number considering the space available in national and private parks.
And that was the news that we have for you from around the world. We're due for another short break, but when we return, we will have app updates from right here in Southeast Asia. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hey there, buddies! Welcome back to another episode of Buddy Talk.
Enggak, dia hostnya, kita co-hostnya.
It's better to be overdressed than underdressed. That's actually a good hack, because I used to live in Canada. That was our trick.
Point to Manado on this map. I'm horrible. I told you I'm bad.
Dikira dengan banyaknya informasi itu kan jadi makin gampang gitu nulisnya.
Iya.
Tapi ternyata susah banget.
Berangkat aja dulu, kerjakan apa yang ada di depan kalian. Setidaknya kalian hari ini walaupun tidak mendapatkan uang, tapi kalian mendapatkan kesempatan.
Walaupun di awal-awal itu banyak sekali rintangan dan tantangan.
Kalian berproses aja dulu, jalan aja dulu. Kalau udah waktunya kalian untuk dapetin uang akan datang nyamperin kalian. Hal yang paling sangat utama untuk mengawali bisnis, ridho dan restu orang tua. Itu hal dan modal paling besar dalam mengawali usaha.
Kak Binjai mau migrasi.
Cakep.
Anjay, aku depotsi.
Ya aku cuma mau bilang hari ini kamu tuh cantik loh. Aduh ya Allah.
Oke lah kalau penampilan dia nggak sebaik itu, nggak sebagus itu, nggak seganteng itu, tapi tuh hatinya dia sebaik itu dan tidak ada orang yang pernah gue temuin hatinya sebaik Mas.
Pemain.
Group of volunteers operating in south of the city has united to assist displaced children in a refugee camp in Rafah in overcoming the trauma of war. The volunteers come from diverse professional backgrounds and share expertise in working with young people.
Asian flavors is gaining more popularity around the world in the last decade. Personally love this, not just because it is familiar for our palate, but because the airiness, the textures of the youtiao, it's completely different when baguette. So with those appetites and with those pleasure-driven people, Menteng is a very special place for restaurant.
Their existence is now being critically endangered.
Dia memiliki ekor yang sangat panjang, lebih panjang, jauh lebih panjang daripada badannya sendiri.
Tekniknya dia keluar itu bergelombol, menggunakan punggung temannya untuk naik.
Sebenarnya konservasi burung hantu di sini latar belakangnya jelas asas manfaat. Jadi kita pengen melestarikan burung, melestarikan satwa, tapi juga otomatis dampaknya ke masyarakat yang khususnya sekarang kalau di sini kan petani.
Welcome back to the program, folks. It is now 8 in the a.m. and time for us to see what's been making headlines across Southeast Asia this morning, beginning with Mirsa.
Yes, the first up is from Bandar Seri Begawan, where Singapore and Brunei celebrated the 40th anniversary of diplomatic ties between both countries. Singapore Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong visited Brunei Darussalam to attend Prince Abdul Matin's wedding and also to meet with Sultan Bolkiah on January 15th. The long-standing relationship between Brunei and Singapore has been built since the time of Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew and Sri Begawan Omar Alu Saifuddin.
Next up from Hanoi, where Vietnam's spice exporter has succeeded in securing significant European investment amounting to $320 million. This represents the first foreign investment for Phuc Sin JSC after 22 years in the business. The company revealed that several challenges in the collaboration are environmental, social, and corporate governance, or ESG aspects. Businesses also hope that higher free trade agreements will cause an influx of investments to the Vietnamese agricultural industry.
And lots of our headlines of this morning comes from Thailand, where the country's military commander recently held virtual talks with Myanmar General Min Aung Hlaing. During the occasion, the two sides discussed cooperation to combat online gambling and online scams. They also talked of bilateral collaboration to eradicate drugs, terrorism, and illegal trade while fostering peace and stability in border areas. Furthermore, the two countries plan joint efforts to deal with ongoing forest fires and transboundary haze in the Myanmar-Lao-Thai borderlands.
We apologize for the footage there because it was not aligned with the story. But anyway, still from Thailand, authorities in the Thai city of Ratchaburi responded on Friday to reports of multiple shots fired at the Down in Saduik power plant.
The incident occurred over heated arguments among workers that has left 3 killed and 1 critically injured.
The identified shooter, Bailes Sai Sit, served as the head of security team for the plant's security contractor, Billion Guard. The dispute arose when the plant's management decided to engage another contractor, HSR Pro Limited, thus reducing Billion Guard's role.
Initial reports have suggested that Sai Sit called a meeting with victims to discuss salary matters. The situation, however, escalated, leading the gunman to open fire as an agreement could not be reached. Local police then arrested Sai Sit at his home as he attempted to flee.
Now we go back to what's making headlines in Brunei, right, Karina?
That is right, and one of the most talked about occasions just at the start of this year, Brunei's Prince Abdul Mateen, one of Asia's most popular royals, recently concluded a lavish 10-day wedding ceremony in Bandar Seri Begawan, marking his union with Anisha Rosna.
Yes, the 32-year-old prince of the oil-rich sultanate married Anisha Rosna Isakalebik in a ceremony steeped in traditions that began on January the 7th.
The engagement of Mateen and Anisha, who is the granddaughter of the ruler's special advisor, was announced by the Sultan in October. Mateen, the 4th son and 10th child of Brunei's Sultan Hassan al-Bolkiah, is also 6th in line to the throne.
Mateen, who plays polo for his country in regional games and is also a helicopter pilot in the Royal Brunei Air Force, has gained a massive following on social media. Of course, dubbed one of Asia's most eligible bachelors once, with his royal background and good looks, Mateen has gained prominence in recent years through accompanying his father on diplomatic engagements abroad.
That's right, not a bachelor anymore. And his now wife Anisha, who reportedly owns a fashion brand and tourism business, took part in a prolonged nuptial festival. The festivities included a centuries-old powdering ceremony at the palace, where the couple received blessings from family members at a solemnization ceremony at a mosque.
It's a long ceremony.
That's a royal wedding.
I thought 5 days was long enough, and this is 10 days with 5,000 guests.
5,000 guests.
5,000 guests.
Getting any inspiration out of this?
5,000 guests? I don't think so, Paul.
We're going to take another short break here on the program, you guys. But before we do so, just another quick reminder to follow us on our social media accounts if you haven't already. You can find us on Instagram, x.com, or YouTube at See Today News. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after this.
The beauty and the excitement of being there.
Indescribable to lose such an iconic, historical, and magnificent.
Let's take a look around, shall we? Come on in. We found them.
Where people come and go. A cup of tea, a perfect way to end your day. Come see the beauty, only on See Indonesia.
Welcome back to Spotlight, ladies and gentlemen, where we bring you guys some of the sports that you guys can go play here in Indonesia.
You don't have to be good with your foot. Like, you can just dribble the ball and just throw it to the full ball.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Oh, I love this atmosphere. Woo! Heading to Gili Trawangan. And this special episode, I already prepared myself for an adventure on the island, which in the top of the list to visit. And this is the travel note because life is dope.
Their existence is now being critically endangered.
Dia memiliki ekor yang sangat panjang, jauh lebih panjang daripada badannya sendiri.
Tekniknya dia keluar dia itu bergelombol menggunakan punggung temannya untuk naik.
Sebenarnya konservasi burung hantu di sini latar belakangnya jelas asas manfaat. Jadi kita pengen melestarikan burung, melestarikan satwa, tapi juga otomatis dampaknya ke masyarakat yang khususnya sekarang kalau di sini kan petani.
All right, guys, let's get into our first update for today.
Meanwhile, a plume of smoke was seen billowing in the distance from Rafah in the Gaza Strip on Saturday, marking the 11th week of humanitarian crisis in Palestine.
Mount Anak Krakatau continues to erupt, spewing volcanic materials up to 300 meters high.
Sri Mulyani Indrawati said that Indonesia has minimized taking that to meet the needs of the 2023 state budget until the end of the year.
Hey there, buddies! Welcome back to another episode of Buddy Talk.
Enggak, dia hostnya, kita co-hostnya. It's better to be overdressed than underdressed. That's actually a good hack, because I used to live in Canada. That was our trick.
Point to Manado on the smash. I'm horrible, I told you I'm bad.
Dikira dengan banyaknya informasi itu kan jadi makin gampang gitu nulisnya.
Iya.
Tapi ternyata susah banget.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the program. We often like to talk about these sorts of topics
really
here
do.
on the show.
Yes.
And we know that many ways and methods have been done to reduce carbon emissions, ranging from either lifestyle changes or even adopting more eco-friendly measures. But not only that, though, even several public transportation or even personal vehicles are starting to use electricity instead of fossil fuels. And as it turns out, such measures can also be applied at the workplace.
That is very right, Paul. And therefore, it is indeed important to always consider the environmental side in every country's economic development efforts. One solution which strikes a balance between economic development and eco-conservation is green jobs. And so what are some examples of green jobs? how important are they, and what is their potential here in Indonesia? So to find out more, let's have a chat with these inspiring ladies from Cerah Indonesia Foundation Research Associate Sartika Nur Shalati and University of Indonesia Suara Mahasiswa Chief Editor Dian Amalia Ariani. Ladies, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for being here.
Now, first of all, what is a green job? Can you tell us a little more about what it is?
Okay, regarding to the definition of green jobs, I refer to the International Global Organization, or ILO, that explains that green jobs are the decent jobs that contribute to creating sustainable economy and restoring the environmental sustainability. So the definition itself has a very broad spectrum, right?
Yeah.
And there are so many examples that we can get from that green jobs. Like as long as your job can make money and also can protect the environment, so it can be categorized as green jobs.
Okay, so what range are we talking about here? Because we have like so many climate change issues that we are faced with these days. So what sort of climate change issues can be related to green jobs?
Okay, about the climate change. Honestly, I prefer to use the term of the climate crisis term rather than
we are now in crisis.
Yeah, it's not changing anymore.
It can describe our current situation right now more clearly, right?
Yeah.
That is under threat.
Yes.
And climate crisis is mainly caused by the greenhouse gas emission due to industrial activities, especially from the energy sector, like burning the fossil fuels and doing mining activities and cutting down the trees from the forest that refer to the exploitation of the natural resources or extractivism.
Right.
And those activities are categorized as brown jobs, and opposite with green jobs.
I was going to say red. I thought red. Brown makes sense.
Brown jobs, right?
Okay.
And brown jobs refer to the pollution to our planet, where we live, because it only focuses on economy rather than environmental conservation or sustainability.
Right.
So we have expect to transition to the green jobs. In contrast, green jobs can create so many opportunities in our society, like, for example, shifting from the fossil fuel as the main of the cause of the greenhouse gases and global warming to the green energy transition can create so many green jobs in many sectors, even non-formal or formal jobs. So I can say that, in other words, the more climate crisis, the more green jobs there are, the less impact of the climate crisis will be.
Okay, that's really interesting. And now blue jobs are more with the ocean, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so there's a blue
There's
job
a blue jobs too. There's
Okay,
blue, green, brown.
Okay, so I imagine the opportunities for green jobs are growing. Only because, like, I'm interested in automotive. I like the fact that we have the perfect color for today. So I'm interested in automotive, and I do know that several car companies, even here in Indonesia, have started to produce locally, and because of that, there are obviously jobs being formed. So there has to be a growth of green jobs. What are some of the incentives for someone who is just entering the workforce to get a green job as opposed to any other sort of job? Because we do know when it comes to brown jobs, money is a big incentive. You can get paid a lot of money to work for these companies, but they're not very friendly for the environment. So what are some of the incentives, other than the obvious one, that we can save our environment or help contribute to save our environment? Is it financially secure as well for those that are looking for jobs in the green sector?
Of course, because green jobs can contribute to the positive impact to the economy, so it can boost our economy
as a whole, right?
As a whole, even for the country, right? And also for the environment, especially because the main spending of the each country also start from the environmental damage that caused by the brown jobs that I said before.
Right.
Well, I think the incentive of the company who wants to transition to the green jobs, maybe it is a task for the government, because in other countries, I mean, like in the development countries and like United States, they have a special incentive from the government itself. So it is a willingness from the government to have to push that, because the search of the search for the economic benefits is not limited, but the carrying capacity of our environment is limited. So we have to choose the green.
Right. Good point. Yeah, it also needs that push and from the government support. Now, Dian, I just wanted to ask you a little bit from UI, Universitas of Indonesia, or University of Indonesia. What's the response for university kids now? You know, obviously when you're in college, you're working towards a degree, but what's the relation there with green jobs? Are they more sort of excited? Are they looking for more green jobs after they graduate? Because when I was
aware even,
yeah, when I was in school, this was not a thing
Me too.
yet.
Well,
you know.
obviously.
So are kids more aware to be making that initiative nowadays?
Well, this is a good news, because we're really excited. I mean, the survey that latest survey that we conduct between Suara Mahasiswa and Cerah is report that most of young people is really think that green jobs provide interesting opportunities, because the green jobs can give a positive impact to our society and our environment.
Right.
Because, you know, if we look at the bigger picture, we as a young people experience a high level of the impacts, negative impacts from the climate crisis, and we live in the information era where makes us allow us to know what is happening, what is the reason behind the climate crisis, and what is the impact of the climate crisis itself. So we're really enthusiastic about this one, about the green jobs, about the potential green jobs in Indonesia. We're really enthusiastic.
Okay, so following, let's talk a little bit more about this survey that you did. Apart from what you already mentioned, government could certainly do their part to help push the need for green jobs and the incentives as well. But what else do you, in your opinion, can be done to maximize the potential for green jobs, especially for the younger workforce?
There is one problem that we knew, I mean, that we found in the survey is the government is still too focused on the implementation of the work, but they didn't bridge the missing gaps between the educational institution to the work to the work world. I mean, like, okay, they want so many green jobs in Indonesia. They say that so many potential green jobs in Indonesia, but do they prepare for the human resources?
Are people being educated in post-secondary the right way to prepare them to get these jobs, right?
Yes, because many of young people in our survey that admit that they didn't feel the educational institution provide the academic or education or academic programs that support they to have a green skills.
Gotcha. Right. So whose responsibility is that? Is it the responsibility of the government, or is it the educational institution, or everyone?
Or it's a collaboration among the stakeholders. Actually, like the government has to include the green jobs and climate change, climate crisis knowledge in their regulation, and then the educational institution has to include the green jobs also, and curriculum to prepare to the student to jump into the green jobs actually.
Right.
Because green jobs actually are not the new concept in our society, right?
Yes.
Because most people in Indonesia, especially in the past, work and did activities related to green job. Activities which combine their livelihood and environmental sustainability. For example, like indigenous people who produce the woven fabrics from the natural materials, and farmers who did organic farming, or even the food seller who use the banana leaves to package their product, right?
It's been going on for a very long time.
Forever, yeah.
Yeah. That's a
Now,
good point.
you mentioned about sort of the gap between the bridge of sort of educating people to get to where they need to be to qualify for those green jobs. But based on your survey, what are people doing now to prepare themselves to get these green jobs? Because the green jobs are there right now, and people are indeed transitioning into working in these fields. How are they preparing themselves if the education is not quite where it needs to be?
Well, this is the ironic fact that we know from the survey that we conduct is they search on the social media and internet. So they, because of the institutional education is not enough to give them an education, so they have to search from another source. And now many of green community, they also join on that community that makes us learn about that. So probably there it is an
it's quite challenging.
Yeah,
the power of internet.
Prepare. But however, we still need to push the government and institutional education, because search from internet and social media is not deep enough. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, before my next question, I want to give an example first. When I went to school in Canada many years ago, I remember there was a time when there were a lot of students. There was just this growth of students, and there weren't enough teachers. And they needed more teachers in schools to keep the classrooms smaller. So what they did was they encouraged people, hey, we need more teachers, so you need to educate yourselves to become teachers. But then after post-secondary, people would have to go to teachers college for 5 to 7 years. So there was this gap of when people were preparing to become educators, that they were really struggling in, that in-between time. We called it the transition period. Now, there's obviously a transition period when it comes to this as well. Companies are making the transition. Institutions are trying to make the institution an adjustment to their curriculum. What is your expected timeline for this to be able to really kind of flow and be able to be more of the norm, if you will, for people to be getting green jobs and getting the proper education to get themselves prepared? Like, what is the timeline that we're looking at here?
We hope it will immediately, but if we may estimate this, probably it's still a long time. Long time will go. Yeah. Yeah,
there's going to be
it will take a long time. Because if we know now the Bappenas is still draft, the roadmap is still draft, so if we back to the question, when the exact year we really, I think we can say it, but we have to do with the collaboration, so we can start from now. It's not an easy job, because if we transition to the green jobs, we have to upskilling and reskilling so many brown jobs. So we have to make so many preparing for that things. So we have to start from now, but when it's really depend on our government willingness.
It's actually back to us, right? Like, how quickly do we want to do it?
And how fast
the question is,
people can
are
learn.
you ready for this? Good.
Yeah.
That's a good question. Are you ready for this?
Yeah. Well, I know I am.
Now, with what you have mentioned earlier, green jobs will indeed likely benefit the public, but also the environmental sector. So there are sectors here that will benefit from this. But how do you think in the long run, we know that it's going to take some time for us to get there until people are skilled to be able to uphold these green jobs, but how will it benefit the economy, the Indonesian economy, in the long run, do you think? Do you think it will have a bigger economy?
You mentioned the bottom line for green jobs is money. It's very profitable. Right?
Especially when compared to brown jobs. If we're transitioning from these brown jobs to green jobs, how will that benefit the economy?
Okay, so basically green jobs can balance between the economy and environmental sustainability. So the sustainability of the environment can boost economy actually, because like I said before, I want to provide the data from the World Economic Forum that shown that research more than half of the global GDP or gross domestic product worth $44 trillion in danger of being lost due to environmental damages.
Okay.
So especially when there is flood in your area, right?
Yeah.
The government has to spend money to tackle the problem like that.
You can't look at the plus, but you have to look at the minuses as well.
Yeah. And I want to take one important note because when we calculate the benefit, we always calculate as an economy, the benefit of economy, but we forget to calculate the negative effects from the losses, because if we look at now, there's so many negative effects to our health from the brown jobs. I mean, like and it takes so many money costs. It takes costs from us to pay the bills for the.
Look at the air quality. Look how many people have to go to the doctor because they have breathing problems.
We pay for that. So in the long run, if we invest to the green jobs, we don't need to pay that.
Paying less on that. I mean, climate crisis is very expensive. Look at all the effects, right? Health. And it could also sort of affect your job. If you're not healthy, you can't come into work.
Exactly, and think about it also on the long run, right? If you go and work for longer, you don't have to make so much in a short period of time, but you can sustain.
It's more sustainable.
There you go, hence the word.
Go.
Guys, thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you so much
it's really
for
important
coming
for us to discuss these sorts of topics so that young people like yourself are able to spread this news to other youth in order for them to be more motivated to get green jobs in the future.
That's right.
Thanks so much, guys. All right, we hope that this was just as enlightening for you as it was for us. We do have to take another short break here on the program, though, but in case you did join us late, we're going to recap some of our earlier stories just for you coming up next.
Berangkat aja dulu, kerjakan apa yang ada di depan kalian. Setidaknya kalian hari ini walaupun tidak mendapatkan uang, tapi kalian mendapatkan kesempatan.
Walaupun di awal-awal itu banyak sekali rintangan dan tantangan.
Kalian berproses aja dulu, jalan aja dulu. Kalau udah waktunya kalian untuk dapetin uang akan datang nyamperin kalian. Hal yang paling sangat utama untuk mengawali bisnis, ridho dan restu orang tua. Itu hal dan modal paling besar dalam mengawali usaha.
Ke Binjai mau migrasi.
Cakep.
Anjay, aku depot sih.
Ya aku cuma mau bilang hari ini kamu tuh cantik loh.
Aduh ya Allah. Oke lah kalau penampilan dia nggak sebaik itu, nggak sebagus itu, nggak seganteng itu, tapi itu hatinya dia sebaik itu dan tidak ada orang yang pernah gue temuin hatinya sebaik Mas.
Pemain.
A group of volunteers operating in south of the city has united to assist displaced children in a refugee camp in Rafah in overcoming the trauma of war. The volunteers come from diverse professional backgrounds and share expertise in working with young people.
Asian flavors is gaining more popularity around the world in the last decade. Personally love this, not just because it is familiar for our palate, but because the airiness, the textures of the youtiao, it's completely different when baguette. So with those appetites and with those pleasure-driven people, Menteng is a very special place for restaurant.
Oh, I love this atmosphere. Woo! Heading to Gili Trawangan. And this special episode, I already prepared myself for an adventure on the island, which in the top of the list to visit. And this is the travel note because life is dope.
Their existence is now being critically endangered.
dia memiliki ekor yang sangat panjang, jauh lebih panjang daripada badannya sendiri.
Tekniknya dia keluar dia itu bergelombol menggunakan punggung temannya untuk naik.
Sebenarnya konservasi burung hantu di sini latar belakangnya jelas asas manfaat. Jadi kita pengen melestarikan burung, melestarikan satwa, tapi juga otomatis dampaknya ke masyarakat yang khususnya sekarang kalau di sini kan petani.
Hey there, buddies! Welcome back to another episode of Buddy Talk.
Enggak, dia hostnya, kita co-hostnya.
It's better to be overdressed than underdressed. That's actually a good hack, because I used to live in Canada. That was our trick. Point to Manado on this map. I'm horrible. I told you I'm bad.
Dikira dengan banyaknya informasi itu kan jadi makin gampang gitu nulis.
Iya.
Tapi ternyata susah banget.
Making headlines in Indonesia, the Corruption Eradication Commission, or KPK, recently released their year-end report for 2023. The commission received more than 5,000 corruption or graft reports across Indonesia throughout last year. On Tuesday, the Commission's Public Complaints Directorate received 5,079 reports of alleged corruption cases throughout 2023. However, 690 reports could not be followed up due to insufficient evidence. The Commission investigated 161 reports, including 8 cases that followed sting operations. 129 cases reached prosecution, while 94 cases received permanent legal status. Up to 524 billion rupiahs of state assets were recovered by authorities.
Aset recovery menjadi salah satu sumbangsi nyata hasil pemberantasan korupsi terhadap pemasukan kas negara melalui penerimaan negara bukan pajak.
The Indonesian Ministry of Maritime Affairs and Fisheries is collaborating with the Food and Agriculture Organization, the FAO, to officially sign a Strategic Action Program, or SPA or SAP, under the Global Environment Facility that began in Indonesia in 2019. The initiative aims to promote sustainable fisheries and coastal management in the Indonesian Sea's Large Marine Ecosystem, or ISLME, covering both Indonesia and Timor-Leste. The program supports ecosystem-based approaches for fisheries management that will benefit fishermen, aquaculturists, and related stakeholders. It also includes various measures such as training, awareness campaigns, and policy development. The SAP is a comprehensive plan which addresses environmental challenges. It focuses on preserving maritime fisheries, restoring marine biodiversity, combating ocean pollution, protecting endangered wildlife, and addressing climate change impact. The SAP consists of 63 action plans for Indonesia and 25 for Timor-Leste, with a budget of $49 million that will be spread over 5 years. The project will be funded by the GF and managed by the FAO.
Kementerian Kelautan Perikanan dengan dukungan hibah GF 5 ASLME dan kerjasama dengan berbagai pemangku kepentingan perikanan telah bersama-sama menerapkan pendekatan ekosistem untuk pengelolaan perikanan dan pesisir di wilayah ASLME untuk menjamin keberlanjutan pemanfaatan sumber daya perikanan dan kelautan. Hibah GF 5 ini telah memberikan manfaat bagi nelayan, pembudidaya, pelaku usaha perikanan tangkap, serta pemangku kepentingan lainnya yang terkait. Kegiatan seperti pelatihan, sosialisasi, penerbitan tanda daftar kapal perikanan, vessel multi-aid, serta penetapan kebijakan untuk perikanan kakap, kerapu, dan kerajingan.
Indonesia also has its own royal wedding, although in a smaller scale. Yes, indeed, Puro Pakualaman hosted the royal wedding, or known as Daup Ageng, of Prince Kusumo Kuntonugroho. He's the youngest son of Pakualam X, and he's married to Laila Anissa in the second week of January 2024. unique culinary delights took center stage at the first reception. So let's have a look.
Unique culinary delights took center stage at the first reception or paharyangan of the Prince Kusumo Kuntonugroho and Laili Anisa's Daup Ageng. Rare dishes originating from the Puro Pakualaman manuscripts added flair to the occasion. Among them is uter-uter tahu, a tofu dish traditionally served during the Pakualam the-8's lunchtime. Another highlight was soup pindang serani, a fish soup that was a main course during Paharyangan Daup Ageng in the era of Pakualam the 7th and 8th. The appetizer for the wedding guests was garulina, a rare sweet cake layered with fla typically served during Paharyangan. Existing before Indonesian independence is now a rarity. It requires a special order from the third generation cake maker, who has been crafting garulina since the 1950s.
Ya, di sini ada beberapa makanan yang memang tadi saya sampaikan sudah cukup lama, termasuk garulina snacknya. Di sini pun garulina sudah sangat susah didapatkan karena kami untuk kali ini memesan pada memang langsung yang generasi ketiga dari yang waktu itu membuat di tahun 50-an, itu generasi ketiga yang ada di Jogja. Kita kulik terus karena itu tidak dijual sehari-hari. Dan kita harus pesan itu kan. Jadi itu makanan yang langka mungkin sehari-hari sudah susah kita dapatkan. Nah, kemudian ada tadi hidangan sop pindang serani ini yang di era Pakualam ke-7 dan 8 itu di tahun awal 1900-an. Ya, awal 1900 mendekati 1900, ya mendekati era-era kemerdekaan sebetulnya. Nah, tapi sebelumnya tahun 7 sudah ada. Jadi di tahun itu yang bisa kami telusuri dari tulisan-tulisan yang ada di Kadipaten Pakualaman.
These culinary treasures added vibrancy to the first royal wedding reception of Prince Kusumo Kuntonugroho and Laili Anisa. See Today contributor reporting from Yogyakarta.
All right, those were some of the highlights from Indonesia, and now it's time for a break. When we come back, we'll bring you update from the world of sports with my colleague Paul. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to another episode of Buddy Talk.
Enggak, dia hostnya, kita co-host.
It's better to be overdressed than underdressed. That's actually a good hack, because I used to live in Canada. That was our trick. Point to Manado on this map. I'm horrible, I told you I'm bad.
Dikira dengan banyaknya informasi itu kan jadi makin gampang gitu nulis.
Iya.
Tapi ternyata susah banget.
Berangkat aja dulu, kerjakan apa yang ada di depan kalian. Setidaknya kalian hari ini walaupun tidak mendapatkan uang, tapi kalian mendapatkan kesempatan.
Walaupun di awal-awal itu banyak sekali rintangan dan tantangan.
Kalian berproses aja dulu, jalan aja dulu. Kalau udah waktunya kalian untuk dapetin uang akan datang nyamperin kalian. Hal yang paling sangat utama untuk mengawali bisnis, ridho dan restu orang tua. Itu hal dan modal paling besar dalam mengawali usaha.
Ke Binjai mau migrasi.
Cakep.
Anjay, aku deportasi.
Ya aku cuma mau bilang hari ini kamu tuh cantik loh. Aduh ya Allah.
Oke lah kalau penampilan dia nggak sebaik itu, nggak sebagus itu, nggak seganteng itu, tapi itu hatinya dia sebaik itu dan tidak ada orang yang pernah gue temuin hatinya sebaik Mas.
Pemain.
Group of volunteers operating in south of the city has united to assist displaced children in a refugee camp in Rafah in overcoming the trauma of war. The volunteers come from diverse professional backgrounds and share expertise in working with young people.
Asian different flavors is gaining more popularity around the world in the last decade. Personally love this, not just because it is familiar for our palate, but because the airiness, the textures of the youtiao, it's completely different than baguette. So with those appetite and with those pleasure-driven people, Menteng is a very special place for restaurant.
Their existence is now being critically endangered.
Dia memiliki ekor yang sangat panjang, jauh lebih panjang daripada badannya sendiri.
Tekniknya dia keluar dia itu bergelombol menggunakan punggung temannya untuk naik.
Sebenarnya konservasi burung hantu di sini latar belakangnya jelas asas manfaat. Jadi kita pengen melestarikan burung, melestarikan satwa, tapi juga otomatis dampaknya ke masyarakat yang khususnya sekarang kalau di sini petani.
All right, guys, let's get into our first update for today.
Meanwhile, a plume of smoke was seen billowing in the distance from Rafah in the Gaza Strip on Saturday, marking the 11th week of humanitarian crisis in Palestine.
Mount Anak Krakatau continues to erupt, spewing volcanic materials up to 300 meters high.
Sri Mulyani Indrawati said that Indonesia has minimized taking that to meet the needs of the 2023 state budget until the end of the year.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the C Morning Show. It's time for a quick sports recap, and we're going to begin with some hot news from the world of football, where AS Roma coach Jose Mourinho is rumored to soon leave the Giallorossi. This follows Roma's poor performance this season, including a 2-1 loss against AC Milan last September.
AS Roma announced on Tuesday that Jose Mourinho is leaving the club with immediate effect, ending a time successful but also turbulent stay in the Italian capital for the veteran coach. This follows 2 days after a 3-1 loss against AC Milan, which left Roma in 9th place in Serie A and at risk of missing the Champions League for a 6th straight season. Roma was also eliminated by Lazio in an Italian Cup derby last week. Mourinho was in his 3rd season at Roma, and his contract was due to expire in June. He led the Giallorossi to the UEFA Conference League title in his 1st season, and Roma became the Europa League finalist last season. However, Mourinho was also given a series of bans for his protests and triads against referees, which was not appreciated by Roma's American owners. Mourinho was banned by UEFA from 4 European games for verbally abusing the Europa League final referee in a stadium garage after Roma lost to Sevilla. He was also suspended for the game at Milan on Sunday due to protests. Roma added that the updates on the coaching staff will follow imminently. Former Roma captain Daniel De Rossi is being mentioned as a possible caretaker, while there have been reports that ownership is trying to hire Antonio Conte for the next season.
All right, we still have more football-related news, this time from the 2023 AFC Asian Cup in Qatar. Thailand has become the only representative from Southeast Asia who managed to win the first match of the group phase against Kyrgyz Republic by a score of 2-0. Thailand's 2 goals were both scored by Supachai Chaidet. Supachai Chaidet struck twice as Thailand defeated Kyrgyz Republic 2-0 in their opening AFC Asian Cup Qatar 2023 Group F tie on Tuesday. Having seen their Southeast Asian rivals, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Vietnam suffer opening match defeats, Thailand produced a dominant display to take all 3 points at the Abdullah bin Khalifa Stadium. Thailand managed to show its dominance to become the only team from Southeast Asia to win in the first match of the group phase at this event. Meanwhile, Kyrgyz Republic was actually able to counter the pressure, especially in the first half, where they were ahead 56-44 in possession over Thailand. However, they did not play as effectively as Thailand and failed to score during several opportunities. And with this result, Thailand now occupies the top spot in Group F with 3 points, while Kyrgyz Republic sits at the bottom spot with 0. Moving on to some tennis updates, where German tennis player Alexander Zverev defeated his fellow German Dominic Kupfer 4-6, 6-3, 7-6, and 6-3 at the Australian Open. German number 6 seed Alexander Zverev defeated Dominic Kupfer at Melbourne Park on Tuesday during his opening match at the Australian Open. Zverev dropped the first set before then rallying to defeat his compatriot 4-6, 6-3, 7-6, and 6-3 during the evening match. Zverev was a finalist at the U.S. Open back in 2020, and he then won gold at the men's singles Olympics in 2021, and is currently ranked 6th in the ATP rankings. He led Germany to victory at the United Cup team tournament in Sydney earlier this month. The 26-year-old Zverev is also accused of assaulting a woman during an argument in Berlin in May of 2020. He has since denied the accusations. German news agency DPA reported on Monday that his trial will begin on the 31st of May, which is during the French Open. However, it also cited a court spokesperson who said that Zverev will not need to make a personal appearance and can be represented by his lawyer. The men's tennis tour ruled last January that Zverev will not face disciplinary action after its own investigation into domestic abuse allegations against him found insufficient evidence to substantiate the claims. Let's move on to some badminton news now, where Indonesian doubles pair of Fajar Alfian and Muhammad Rian Ardianto had to play a rubber match against Malaysian pair Wei Chong Man and Kai Woon Tee to qualify for the top 16 of this year's India Open. They successfully secured a spot in the top 16 following an epic comeback after losing their first game. Indonesian men's doubles of Fajar Alfian and Muhammad Rian Ardianto faced their Malaysian counterparts in Wei Chong Man and Kai Woon Tee during the first round of the India Open at the KD Jadhav Indoor Hall in New Delhi on Tuesday. The Malaysian doubles won the first game 21-16, but Fajar and Rian managed to win the second game 21-15, forcing them to play a rubber match. Fajar and Rian then succeeded in maintaining their lead to close out the third game by a score of 21-13. This victory has now launched the pair into the top 16 of the 2024 India Open. And that last update wraps up our sports news for this morning. We're going to take our final break here on the C Morning Show, but do stick around. We have more entertainment news coming up for you next.
The beauty and the excitement of being there.
Indescribable to lose such an iconic, historical, and magnificent.
Let's take a look around, shall we? Come on in. We found them.
Where people come and go.
A cup of tea, a perfect way to end your day. Come see the beauty, only on C Indonesia.
Welcome back to Spotlight, ladies and gentlemen, where we bring you guys some of the sports that you guys can go play here in Indonesia.
You don't have to be good with your foot. Like, you can just dribble the ball and just throw it to the full ball.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Oh, I love this atmosphere. Woo!
Heading to Gili Trawangan. And this special episode, I already prepared myself for an adventure on the island, which in the top of the list to visit. And this is the travel note because life is dope.
Their existence is now being critically endangered.
Dia memiliki ekor yang sangat panjang, jauh lebih panjang daripada badannya sendiri.
Tekniknya dia keluar dia itu bergelombol menggunakan punggung temannya untuk naik.
Sebenarnya konservasi burung hantu di sini latar belakangnya jelas asas manfaat. Jadi kita pengen melestarikan burung, melestarikan satwa, tapi juga otomatis dampaknya ke masyarakat yang khususnya sekarang kalau di sini kan petani.
All right, guys, let's get into our first update for today.
Meanwhile, a plume of smoke was seen billowing in the distance from Rafah in the Gaza Strip on Saturday, marking the 11th week of humanitarian crisis in Palestine.
Mount Anak Krakatau continues to erupt, spewing volcanic materials up to 300 meters high.
Sri Mulyani Indrawati said that Indonesia has minimized taking that to meet the needs of the 2023 state budget until the end of the year.
Hey there, buddies! Welcome back to another episode of Buddy Talk.
Enggak, dia hostnya, kita co-hostnya.
It's better to be overdressed than underdressed. That's actually a good hack, because I used to live in Canada. That was our trick. Point to Manado on the smash. I'm horrible. I told you I'm bad.
Dikira dengan banyaknya informasi itu akan jadi makin gampang gitu nulis.
Iya.
Tapi ternyata susah banget.
Welcome back to the C Morning Show. That music means only one thing. Entertainment news.
Entertainment.
That's right. Indonesian content creators have released the Rewind Indonesia video on January the 12th, which depicts the country's journey as a nation in the year of 2023.
Yes, and of course, naturally, it became trending just like that, with the highest number of YouTube rankings in Indonesia.
One of the most interesting points in the 2023 Rewind Indonesia is the issue of bullying. The video begins with a child in a red shirt and white trousers who suffered abuse from the son of an official. The story sheds light on a relevant social issue that is familiar for many. The audience are treated to a special appearance by Putri Aryani, a star who gained more popularity in 2023 thanks to her achievements in America's Got Talent.
You break my heart, break my hope, make me so down.
The viral song Loneliness was the background music that accompanied the 2023 YouTube Indonesia Rewind. The 17-minute video was posted by the Indonesian creators channel on YouTube. It is a colorful spectacle that takes the audience through various significant moments that took place throughout last year. Aside from an annual event, Rewind Indonesia also celebrates youth creativity.
Celebrity boxing, I say, was one of the highlights of last year.
Oh,
it was everywhere.
Was there celebrity boxing?
There was so many celebrity
Between
boxing.
who and who?
Many celebrities that weren't boxers, but they were trained for the events. And it's just becoming bigger and bigger. So, yeah. Well, it's not just boxing. There were celebrity badminton matches.
Oh, yeah.
I saw that one.
So all these celebrity sporting events, I say, would be one of the things I remember from
Yeah.
You guys, any highlights?
Oh, yeah, Putri Aryani was
Yeah,
like my biggest highlight. I watched her video and I cried. Oh, my gosh. The way she sang. She sang from the heart.
Touching. And when she was singing the Palace and playing for Independence Day.
Yeah.
That was also very, very
nice.
Oh,
Putri Aryani, the best. Anyways, we are going to move on to movie updates But from Indonesia, yes, Ibu Tejo Sowan Jakarta. Directed by Andi Bahtiar Yusuf will be released soon.
I love how you said it just then.
Very Javanese.
Very Javanese. Indeed, the movie tells a unique story about love, family, and cultural diversity here in Indonesia.
The romantic drama film tells the story of Mrs. Tejo, who comes to Jakarta to prevent her son Teddy from marrying a girl of Chinese descent named Vanessa. Cultural differences create disagreements that led to conflicts between both parties.
Oh yes, you've seen a lot of this happening in Indonesia for sure, including me actually. My parents were mixed. Siti Fauzia, yes, she plays the role of Ibu Tejo, who previously played the same character in the short film Tilik. Ibu Tejo, or Mrs. Tejo, is known for being direct, and she also speaks loudly. There were also, of course, other actors or supporting actors that include Briliana Arfira, Diah Mulani, and Putri Manjo, who also made an appearance in Tilik.
The movie, directed by Andi Bahtiar Yusuf, who has worked on several films such as Love for Sale, Romeo Juliet, Today Must Win, and Bridezilla, will make the audience laugh out loud with Ibu Tejo's signature style. Now, Bu Tejo Sowan Jakarta will be released in theaters this month on January the 18th.
Sowan means come to Jakarta?
Sowan means visiting.
Visiting.
Yeah, visiting.
No, she's hilarious. Like now I know who she is because I've seen clips of her before. I think it just comes naturally for her.
Yeah. Some people just have that sort of natural.
She's great, and she's also a very nice person as well. Yeah,
I'm excited to see that movie. Some laugh out loud session there.
Yes.
Now moving on to some music. Charlie Puth paid tribute to Matthew Perry by performing the Friends theme at the Emmy Awards in Los Angeles, California on Monday night.
Very fitting indeed, as he played an emotional cover of I'll Be There For You by the Rembrandts during the show's In Memoriam segment.
An emotional musical tribute to one of television's biggest stars, Friends actor Matthew Perry, took place in the Emmy Awards on Monday. During the telecast, pop star Charlie Puth teamed up with husband and wife country duo The War and Treaty to perform an acoustic rendition of I'll Be There For You, the theme of the sitcom Friends. Perry's tribute closed out the In Memoriam segment of the Emmy Awards on Monday. The segment itself included tributes to other stars such as late Brooklyn Nine-Nine actor Andre Braugher, One Day at a Time creator Norman Lear, as well as Barbara Walters, Bob Barker, Christy Alley, Susan Somers, and more.
There you go, guys. Emmys have come and gone as well, and I thought that was really nice as well because one of the biggest news that was quite tragic last year was Matthew Perry's passing as well. I think we all can relate to Friends. We all somewhat grew up on it, and I think it all hit us pretty hard.
Yeah.
There you go, guys. That just about does it and wraps up not only our entertainment segment, but the entire program. We've been with you for almost 3 hours, and that does it for today's episode of the C Morning Show on C Today. Make sure, once again, that you're following us on our social media platforms on Instagram, X, or YouTube at C Today News.
Yes, C Today can also be watched in Australia through Foxtel's OTT platform, Flash app, or in Macau, cable TV channel 84. Or if you're in the Philippines, you can also watch the Converge Vision channel 58. And for you in Singapore, Singtel Singapore channel 15.
And for Telkomsel users, you can also watch C Today on the Maxstream app. And don't forget to also tune in again tomorrow, same time, same channel. And be sure to also catch our afternoon show every day at 5 p.m. I'm Karina Basrawan signing off.
I'm Paul Palelli.
I'm Marissa Anita, and would like to say,
see Indonesia, see the world, see today.
Bye. Happy Hump Day.
Stay tuned with me, Chef Rehan, only on Satisfactory, Cook Healthy and Cook Happy. Hello guys, back again with me, Chef Rehan, only on Satisfactory, Cook Healthy and Cook Happy. Today, I'm gonna make some vegan dish. If you only watching me cooking and then you are a vegan, I'm gonna make some option for the dessert that you can cook at home. So this is, I'm gonna call it, the dish is strawberry vegan pancake. So for the ingredients, I have the strawberry in here, and then for the milk, I'm using some soy milk, and then we have some flour in here. We're gonna using some margarine or vegan margarine, and then we have some simple syrup, and then some lemonade for extra freshness. We added some of the sugar, and then we have some salt. So I'm gonna combine it with some sweetness from the dish, and then we added some little bit of saltiness to make it the dish is complex. Next one, we have some baking powder, right? The strawberry first. We have 100 grams. Turn on the stove, medium heat. About 100 grams of sugar. Okay, we just continue to mix it, and then we just put it a little bit of pressure on the strawberry. Alright guys, I think the strawberry start to a little bit tender, and then it's really mixed with the sugar that we put before. Next step, I'm gonna make it a little bit of acidity. And we just continue to mix it up, everything, until it's already smooth and a little bit of the crunchy texture from the strawberries. Okay, now I'm gonna turn off the heat, and then we added about 8 grams of margarine. Okay, and now I'm gonna make the vegan